Assalamualaikum everyone. So today I'm going to show you how to cook Gajar Gosht. Now Gajar Gosht, this is actually my father's favorite, my late father's favorite, and he always used to tell me that even his father loved it. So this video is actually dedicated to my father and my grandfather, who both love this dish. Now we'll just go through the ingredients. I've got carrots, about 4 carrots that I have peeled them and chopped them, and I've chopped them in such squares or cubes, you can call them. I've also got about that much, so that's about 2.5 inch lengthwise of ginger, and I added extra because this particular dish I want to give it a good taste of ginger and also garlic. So you can see about 7-8 flakes of garlic. I've also got 1 chili. So because it's going to be a sweet dish as well, we want to make sure that there's a balance between the spices, the chili, the salt, and the sweetness. So that's why we're going to add some chili in it. I've got 2 tomatoes, medium size. I've also got 2 onions, but I'm not going to use all of that. So I'm going to use about 3/4 of this. So I'm going to use this part because this one is a bit bigger. So it's a pretty large onion. So I just need 1 large onion and a 3/4. But if you've got medium size onions, then 2 medium sized onions are the best. In my spice plate, you will see I've got some salt. Sorry about the movement over there. So there's some salt, which is 1/2 teaspoon. We'll add as we go on once we're cooking the dish. I've got 1/2 teaspoon of turmeric powder and 1/2 teaspoon of red chilies. I did mention that it has to have a balance of the chili, the salt, and the sweetness. I've also got about 1/2 teaspoon of black pepper, cinnamon powder, 1/2 teaspoon, 1 teaspoon of jeera, and 1 teaspoon of cumin powder. So jeera is cumin powder, and that is this is suka dhania, which is dry coriander seeds which have been powdered, and this is cumin seed that has already been powdered. Sorry about that. So these are both one teaspoons, each one of them. Now I do not have garam masala. If I did have garam masala, then all these 4 ingredients I wouldn't have used. I'd only used just the garam masala. We also need to have meat. So for this one, I've used goat meat. Generally, it is goat meat that is used to cook Gajar Gosht. You can also use lamb meat, but I tend to find there's a lot of smell in the lamb meat that it brings out, and that really irritates my family and myself as well. So we only use goat meat. So I know some people, or quite a lot of people, especially in the western parts, do not eat goat meat. But I can assure you, if you taste this dish the way we cook, the Indian style, you will be surprised. In fact, in most restaurants when you go, I reckon they are using goat meat, but you're not aware of the fact that it is goat meat. I mean, they do indicate it's lamb meat, but it's definitely goat meat. I've tasted in most of the restaurants, and I feel that it is goat meat. Anyway, coming back to it, what I've done at this point is that for the past 1 hour, without any salt, without any spices, anything at all, I just boiled my meat with water, and I left it on the cooker for the last 1 hour while I was doing other things in the house. The reason why I did that is because generally this meat is hard, but it needs to be tenderized. So you can see that even if you touch it with your finger, which I've already done the test on it, you will be able to press it. So try to see if I can hold the camera and do it here. Let's see. Oh, here we go. Yeah, so you can see after just pressing a little, you can see that the meat is cooked well. So we are actually reducing or minimizing the cooking time. So leaving this on the cooker would be a good idea for an hour. Otherwise, if you've got a pressure cooker, that is even a great investment in an Indian kitchen, because all you can do is pressure cook this for 15 to 20 minutes and the meat is ready. So my meat is ready over here, and I'm not worried about, I'm going to lose any of the flavors, because this soup that you see that it is cooking in will not be wasted. So let's start the cooking process of the Gajar Gosht. So here you can see I've already heated my pan, and I'm now going to add the oil. I'm looking at meat is on the fire. My onions have already started cooking, and what we need to do now is to blend everything that you see on this tray, the tomatoes with the green chilies, the ginger and the garlic, so that we can have it handy when the onions do become, they're going to be past the color of translucent, so cooked. You'll start seeing some caramelizing on the onion. That's when we need this mixture ready for it to continue the cooking. So I'll quickly get this also blitzed in my mixer and then have it prepared. So here you can see that the onions are browning beautifully. What I'm going to do is I'm going to now add the whole spice plate that I had prepared earlier. So I've added all the spices in here, and you can see now they're going to release the aroma. It's going to be a minute, less than a minute, that we're going to have the aroma released by the spices, and then quickly my tomato and ginger, garlic and green chili mixture goes into the mixture. And what we're going to do is we're going to let it start cooking. So I'm going to cook, at the moment you can see that the mixture is a light, I would say a bright red color. Soon it's going to become dark red. So I'll start that process and then I'll tell you when to stop. Alright, you can see that I'm mixing at the moment, and I know that you may have noticed that the caramelization had started touching the pan as well. Look, I'm not worried, and I would say don't worry about it yourself as well. Provided the onions are cooked beautifully in this one, you can proceed with the dish. It's not burnt yet. I've also added a little bit of stock from the meat over here, just so that I can give some flavoring into the base of the dish. And so I'm now going to cook until I can see the oil comes back up again, and I can see that the tomatoes are well cooked, because we will not do a lot of cooking in this one because our meat is already cooked. So it has been about 10 to 15 minutes that I have been cooking the masala, and this is basically called the boiling pot process. Why I do it in the beginning of the dish is because I don't want the meat to lose its shape and form, and I don't want the carrots also to lose its shape and form. I also forgot to mention two things. So we also need coriander, which I've already prepared, and we'll need about a tablespoon or so of sugar, and I'll add it at the later stage. But right now, what we need to do is that this meat that has been boiling, I need to add it to the mixture so that we can get all the spices into the meat. So I'll now start transferring only the meat from this soup, or from this boiling that I've done, and we'll still retain the soup to continue the cooking process. Let me transfer first the meat. So the meat has gone in, and it's going to now cook for about 3 or 5 minutes. The only thing we're trying to do at this stage is to make sure that the seasoning does enter, or does give a good seasoning to the meat as well. I still have not switched off the fire on the soup, so you can see the base is still here for the soup. I'm waiting up on it to reduce as well, because it's quite a lot of water. So I want to reduce it in this pan rather than reducing it in the other pan, because we don't want to overcook any of the ingredients. So I'll give it a stir for about 2 or 3 minutes and wait for this soup to actually reduce. So I have now introduced the carrots after 2 or 3 minutes to the meat, and I'm now going to stir it. I'm also going to pour a little bit of the soup to help the cooking of the carrots. So let's get that done. And there you can see my carrots are in, my meat is still intact, and so is the soup. So I still have some of the soup evaporating because I still need to reduce the soup itself, and then whatever is left I need to still put it back in the pan. I'm also doing my roti on the other side, you can see that, just so that we can serve everything side by side. So I'll come back to you, come back and show you how the carrot and the meat will be doing. So you can see the water has reduced quite further, and so has this pot of my pan with the meat is mixing well with the carrot. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to complete putting the rest of the soup into this pan, and then we're going to taste. So the carrots are still looking firm, and so is the meat. I'm just tasting for everything at this stage. So I've added 3 teaspoons of sugar in it now, and I've tasted it. I've also added a 1/4 teaspoon of salt in it, and we're now going to wait until all of this soup does reduce. Carrots are cooked, everything is well done. So that's what we are waiting at this stage, and in the meanwhile I'll finish cooking the chapatis. So you can see that the water has reduced quite a lot, and there is also a different sound in the meat now. I'm still going to continue to cook, but I just wanted to let you know that all this time I still have been stirring it occasionally, and you can see because we had cooked the meat before, and it's still retaining its shape, and so is the carrots. So they're coming close to cook at this stage. What I want to do is I want to now add the coriander leaves that I had, just a few, to start off the flavoring of the coriander in this dish, and then we'll finish it up with another layer of coriander later. But you can see the oil coming up, and you can see that my food is almost done. I've already completed the chapatis or the rotis, so we're just waiting for a little more, about say 3 or 5 minutes, for the oil to come up completely, and then we are good to serve. So there you go. You can see after 3 or 5 minutes, the meat has actually the oil has actually come up on top, and that's also an indication that all your ingredients in this dish has already been completed. You can also see that once the oil comes up, what happens is that it does give a beautiful shine to your dish, which has in this case, so you can see it's shining. It's not that you've added too much oil, it's just that we've cooked it and we've boned it as well, so that's also another reason why it's looking beautiful. So you can't, even on my wooden spoon, you can't see any tomatoes or onions or anything hanging in, or even the masalas, like the spices that we added. Nothing is visible. Everything's being cooked pretty well in this dish. Now I'm gonna just remove it out and serve it, because it's all completed. And look, even in my pan, because we took care when we were cooking the meat and the carrots, they still retain their form and shape. So that was something I wanted to show, and I'll just show you how to present this dish. So here you have it. I've already removed it in a bowl, and I've added some fresh coriander on top, because that's something that will actually give a little bit of liveness to this. Like, it gives you some freshness and invitation to come and eat. I've also got the rotis. I did show you in between that I was preparing the rotis, so the rotis are nice and warm over here. And I want to also tell you that, look, in between the before serving, or 5 minutes or 7 minutes before serving, please taste. I cannot specify and tell you that you need to add this much sugar, this much spices, or this much salt. I can only give an estimate, but you also have to do it to your taste as well, because I've noticed sugar and salt especially, different companies have a different level of sweetness or saltiness, and so it also happens that different countries would have a different level as well. So that's why I can't specify that. I did, before serving, add another teaspoon of sugar in my Gajar Gosht. I've also added a 1/4 teaspoon of salt as well, because to my taste it was less. I hope you like this video. Please like, subscribe and share my video. I really thank you for watching my video, and I hope to see you next time with another new and innovative dish as well. Thanks. Bye.